Hello and good afternoon. Welcome to the Spare Change podcast. Today I'll be going over the Small Business Administration's most recent summit virtually. They hosted for 4 days, discussing all things small business and things that you can do today to implement and grow your small business. So the first thing I wanted to do is actually log into the summit. It was held from May 2nd to May 5th, and people from all over the world in different levels of business, everyone from government all the way to day-to-day companies like the ones that you see on screen now. Everyone came together, shared resources, and discussed things that relate to everyday small business operations, the growth of small business, implementation of social media when talking about small businesses and connectivity of small businesses, everything that you could possibly think of, from farmers to people just running a brick and mortar store selling coffee, all the way to international business with China, Russia, and the things that have come about, i.e. COVID, the war with Russia and Ukraine, that have affected small businesses growth and how people are overcoming these things on a day-to-day basis. So leaving the exhibitor co-sponsors, you can also see all of the government sponsors that fell into the Small Business Administration Summit. The two main groups leading this were the SCORE mentorship program and the Small Business Administration. If I go to the auditorium within the framework of the summit, everything was done virtually. The ability to play everything back now exists post the event. Some of the things I'd like to highlight: IoT solutions, unlocking your business growth. This was T-Mobile for Business, and they discussed how the world is growing more and more connected. The speakers were Jimmy Huff and Rick Jones, both executives and senior level positions within T-Mobile. They discussed how maintaining connectivity can improve the not only availability, but the modularity of your business and your ability to grow within a space that's becoming extremely integrated with the internet, and specifically the Internet of Things, meaning, well, how do I pull data from all of the small moving pieces within a business? And it could be everything from this treadmill is used more than the other ones, so it's time to rotate so that we have a way to mitigate the costs of maintenance, all the way to like, how can people reach me effectively? Another one that I took a lot of good information from was Meta Boost. Basically Facebook or Meta, they came together and discussed how business owners are adapting to changes all the time, and how specifically there are insights in women, veteran, minority, disabled, and LGBTQ communities as far as business owners dealing with are already in some cases disadvantaged, dealing with the situations that we've seen economically, talking COVID, the effects in the supply chain and global economics that weren't foreseen, and talking about how they can help improve those issues for small business owners, and how the programs that they have can help connect small business owners to their customers. And then they also put out an article I just had it up, but basically, the impacts globally of that group, i.e., small business owners and those that are minorities or disadvantaged, and how Meta can help improve their direct to consumer sales. Um, so this was a study done by Meta about the global state of small business. It was done in March of 2022, so about 2 months ago. And they discuss everything from the reported sales, both digitally and physically, of small businesses, and that there were marked increases in digital sales dealing with things like COVID. So a lot of small business owners have had to adapt to an increasingly online customer base versus what they used to experience, which was much more hybrid. So now they're having to adapt and shift their load of sales to an online environment. And also, the expectation going forward is to maintain that online customer base, but also as we start to see more in person and brick and mortar direct to consumer sales, running a business will almost always, looking forward, have to expect hybrid work. And then there's more details. I'm more than willing to share the resources that I got from being in this conference, and there was a lot to learn. So we will go ahead and shift and cover some more of the speakers. So in day 2, one of the big things that was interesting to me, there were 2 speakers from SBA district offices, both from Seattle and from Massachusetts. And what they talked about was the use of the SBA to access capital that you otherwise would not necessarily have access to. I believe the 504 program allows business owners, particularly in small to medium sized businesses, to achieve up to $5 million in financing for their small business in order to, without digging into their own pockets, improve what they can with their business and continue to effectively run their business. And that critical access to capital being a key point of the discussion. They also discussed microloans and 7A loans and all of the things that the SBA offers for small business owners, and the continuous development assistance with businesses in the networks of the Small Business Administration. Okay. The next talk I wanted to talk about was empowering a hybrid workforce. So this was more of a roundtable discussion. It was led by Spectrum, or not Spectrum. It was led by Samsung Electronics, and basically discussing how to better improve your marketing to customers, and how to increase profit and increase your day-to-day productivity within a business. And they had some really significant speakers there. Alexa Carlin, she's been on everything from the Oprah Winfrey Network to TEDx, and doing extremely good work talking about businesses. They had Barry Moltz. He's a huge podcaster, and he's been on also some TV programs and talked very regularly about small business. Jason Redman was mainly the host, and he was discussing all of the concerns that small business owners have had to face and adapt to. Um, and then you had Maribel Lopez. She's not only a co-founder of a business and technical leader community, but she both wrote books and contributed to Forbes, and very familiar with businesses of all scales. And then you had Tiffany Wright. She was a very good um, all around. She had knowledge on financial aspects of business ownership and how to achieve the capital that you might not necessarily have access to, like we talked about before. Another talk I'd like to highlight. So there was an economic analyst, Michael A. Brown from Visa, and what he did was he discussed all of the things that I've been discussing lately, pretty much directly within the same realm of how the economic situation globally will change based on everything that we've seen with COVID, the global supply chain and its limitations, and the war with Russia and Ukraine. Still very early in that, but the economic impacts that we're seeing worldwide are more than significant. And he spoke to the idea that it might not be over yet, but it won't be permanent. So how do we adapt today to improve our situation? On the third day, there was a discussion between the head of Visa, Kimberly Lawrence, and the small business administrator, Isabella Casillas Guzman. And basically just the wealth of knowledge between the two, just discussing everything that they have envisioned and would want to see as far as improvements in the sector of small business and international small business, global small business, all of those key economic groups that really are the backbone of economies worldwide, and how do you better reach them in order to ensure their success. So I think that was a very key talk in wrapping all of those previous discussions into one package, and really just hammering the point home that there is a wealth of knowledge and resources, and it's not necessarily walled off. You just have to seek it. And I'm no expert. I'm just, again, a fly on the wall in most cases, but the amount of documents and contacts and resources that are available in discussing small businesses, how to improve your small business, and how to definitely like set yourself apart and plan ahead and be adaptable. I think all of those things are extremely important, and the way forward, as at least from my perspective as an American, is to build something where you're not only improving your own situation, but you're improving situations for everybody. I don't think small businesses are just for the business owner. I think they are meant to meet a need within their community, and I don't think there's any shortage of great people running businesses in order to improve the situations of those around them. Another one, kind of above my head for a lot of it, but I did enjoy the insights involved. It was Embrace the Employee Revolution, and he talked about the numbers that CEOs are looking at, and dealing with things like work from home, or having massive amounts of issues where like employees would have COVID or something would happen, and then your entire workforce almost all at once would have a limited capability to support day to day. Let's see if I can't pull that. Yeah, so CEO projections of 2022, talking about accelerated disruption. It doesn't take long for a global economy to experience change now versus what it used to take. And talking about the idea that there's not room for competition in a space where working together provides such a greater benefit to the crowd at large. And providing a plan for when those situations arise where you have something like record inflation, supply chain issues, COVID, and now the war in Ukraine. When those economic headwinds hit your bottom line, how do you improve the situation for your employees and increase the desire to stay? And I don't have the answers to most of this, but I think it was interesting to see that some of the biggest decisions that will have to be made by CEOs involve hiring and making sure that you have a good team that is going to be there for long enough, and having to increase the overall benefits and what's going to keep employees here when the world is crumbling down around the business. How do we maintain a positive work environment and at least involve more effort in the hiring and recruiting, maintaining a good team, and keeping all of the desires that we already had instilled in those that we bring onto the team. It was for sure an interesting talk. I didn't take the best of notes, but I will provide this resource as well. I think there was a lot to learn overall throughout the experience, and I hope that in some weird way, the discussion that we're having now, as far as looking at this event in review and understanding that out of everyone there, I don't remember how many people were there total. Let's just say 200. I'm sure there were more, but just imagining how can we improve a global economic community around small businesses? How can we change the discussion from, well, there's almost nothing we can do and there's not very many resources? How can we change that discussion to, I know how to create a plan and I know how to develop relationships and how to improve my situation enough to survive or enough to come out of something unexpected in a way that I'm thriving. How did we get to that point? And there was a great opportunity to network and talk to people who had more experience here. And I'd encourage anyone to ask more questions. I still have all of the resources that were tied to this event. It was something that I wanted to discuss, especially on a platform like this, where the focus is finance, global economics, and investments. I do believe that anyone starting a small business should at least have some framework, and that's what a lot of this was for me, was building out a framework for, hey, one day I want to start a small business. What are the things I need to be aware of? Hey, one day, if I have a small business, what are my pain points going to be? How am I going to develop myself as a business owner? And how am I going to develop my small business to be able to achieve everything I want it to and more? Again, if you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out. I'll leave all of my contact information below, but it's been a whirlwind of activity for me. Just dealing with trying to learn all of that is to be a financial advisor, while also positioning myself with enough knowledge to, if things don't work out for me, how will I plan for the future? And I think that's the problem in a lot of 18 to 25-year-olds, is we don't really know what we're about to do with our lives. So I think it's very important to have the resources and to have the discussions. And with the Small Business Administration and their National Small Business Week virtual summit, I learned a lot. I hope that I've been able to impart some of that today. If there's anything someone else that was there wants to add, feel free. My brain is fried. You guys have a good day.